Alright, we are on the play for match 4 of this league. We're currently 2-1. This hand looks mighty fine, actually. We're going to keep. The lands were spread out, so at first I thought there were 4 of them. 3 lands, pretty keepable. Especially when it's followed up by 2 threats and a couple of diversified pieces of interaction. We might want to just go... Do we get the island? The island's fine. Getting the island is completely safe. I was trying to figure out what our ideal first 3 fetches are going to be. We almost certainly are going to want double blue. Naturally, we're starting off on Delver for turn 1. And we may or may not want double green, but we could always grab a breeding pool with this. If our life total matters, we probably go Stomping Ground on turn 2, decide on our fetch afterwards. If our life total doesn't matter, I'm not sure which land we actually play. Blinkmoth Nexus into an Ornithopter. We're going up against Affinity. Oh boy. Not a favorable matchup in game 1. Stubborn Denial off the top. Pretty fantastic, though. Means Delver of Secrets probably going to get in for 3 here and then sit back on blocking duty for a while. I believe we're going to want to play this Tarmogoyf on this turn. Holding up Stubborn Denial, kind of bad because they know about it, so they're going to play around it. Playing the Tarmogoyf, quite a bit better, I think. Next turn, we're going to go for some Forked Bolt. I did it again? It's like at least once a league with this Stomping Ground. Jeez, we definitely should have attacked before playing that Tarmogoyf. Doesn't change our opponent's plan, though. Mox Opal not doing anything currently. Maybe they couldn't play around the denial. I don't think we hold it up, though, on the off chance that they don't have a Memnite. Something to that effect. Affinity plays enough ways to get extra mana that I would not put it past them. 2 mana here for the opponent. It's a Steel Overseer. That's going to make Forked Bolt look quite good. We're going to put 3 card types in the bin. That's something I enjoy. 1 here, 1 to the face, targeting Ornithopter, not going to do us any good. We'll pay for that. We're going to have double blue up, so that we can Denial and Snare. Goyf becomes a 4/5 because of Sorcery Creature Artifact. And we're going to get in there for 7. The opponent just might chump this Goyf. We actually seem to be in a very good spot. The opponent had a really slow start. Maybe I'm just really biased by all the fast Affinity hands I've seen. But turn 1, we also were on the play. That's definitely relevant. That's not something we can deal with. Goyf just got a lot worse. We are going to fetch on the end step here in case we're going to need this mana. I think Steam Vents actually is better here than the Breeding Pool. Double red seems more relevant than double green. Naturally, we want the blue. Thought Scour pretty good. I kind of want to start off with Thought Scour. Starting off with Thought Scour seems pretty good. Savage Knuckleblade. Okay. We turned over a Snapcaster Mage and Lightning Bolt. Oh, there weren't any instants in the bin. Thought Scour grew Goyf all by itself. I don't think we bother swinging with the Tarmogoyf since it's a free block. We're just going to leave Goyf back. Unfortunately, we only have 1 piece of disruption up due to that Thought Scour. That's an argument for not using it there. Maybe you just want to hold it up on the opponent's turn. I don't think we need Snare and Denial. I mean, it's entirely possible we do, but it doesn't seem very likely, given that the opponent hadn't played any Cranial Platings or Ravagers to this point. Well, they have it. That's bad news for us. We're still okay, though. Goyf or Nux? Goyf means we hold up Denial. The opponent only drew one card that turn. Oh, it's because they tapped out for Etched Champion. I was trying to figure out, they went turn 2 Overseer, turn 3 Champion, how it was possible they drew Ravager and Plating, but they probably just decided, slam this on 3, stem the bleeding, and then they drew into the second 2 CMC bomb. Well, I guess third. Steel Overseer pretty good. I'm going to swing with Aberration. Do we swing with Goyf? We make them block. Swinging with Goyf doesn't actually do anything. If I had a way to turn off Metalcraft, I'd swing with it. Yeah, looks like an easy block for the opponent. I'm going to play another Tarmogoyf. They can't block everything, chances are. Mox Opal. Oh! Are we going for a big turn here? Okay, so why could they possibly need this much mana? It's possible we need to Stubborn Denial this Mox Opal, because if they need a lot of mana, then I'm feeling Master of Ethereum, maybe a second Etched Champion. Let's do some math. So the opponent has a Mox Opal on the stack, and they've tapped this one. So they have 1 mana currently, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana in total they're going for. Plating is only 1 to equip. That leaves them with 4. Are there any non-creatures we need to play around? Possibly a second Plating? 1 mana attach Plating, 2 mana cast Plating, 1 more attach. They don't need it. See, I'm a little scared here. If they have second Plating and we counter this denial, they get to play and equip both Platings, which puts us in a pretty bad spot. 1, 2, 3, 4. They'll have 5 artifacts. We take... Well, we wouldn't be dead, so that's not bad. Why are they doing this? I don't know. I think I let this Mox Opal resolve. If I had 2 blue up, I almost certainly counter it. As is, I really don't know what they're playing to here, so I think I want to have Denial up. It might be Animating Nexus going for that. That's not lethal unless they have second Plating, but if they have second Plating we counter that, so that's fine. I wonder what the opponent's doing. It's quite exciting. Second Tarmogoyf, very nice of a draw for us, given that we were able to play a third threat out while holding up Stubborn Denial. If it was just Nux, we'd have Denial Shields down, which is definitely not ideal. The opponent knows we have a Denial in hand. They don't know about the second, so it's possible that Mox Opal was trying to bait us out. If they didn't know about Denial, I'd say they're probably not trying to bait out the counter. They're animating Inkmoth with the white mana they produced from the original Opal. Maybe they're growing it with Blinkmoth. Plating on the Inkmoth, that's fine. Not something we can interact with. We're going to get a lot of poison counters. Oh, they're going to keep Etched Champion back to block. They're going on the Infect plan. Lightning Bolt is really good against this plan. Well, we can't interact with that. We might want to leave Delver of Secrets, Insectile Aberration back to block to make sure we don't die to Infect damage. I'm not sure. Post-combat, we have white mana. They're going to put it on the Ornithopter so that that can trade. That's smart. So what was the point of the Mox Opal play? They have 1 mana left over that they didn't use. They didn't hold up any colored mana, so we don't need to play around blanking on its name. Okay, Tarmogoyf actually kind of really good here. Tarmogoyf means we can just do the previous turn over again where we play Goyf hold up Denial. Metalcraft burn spell. I'm gonna pull it up. Something about fire. Galvanic Blast. There we go. They're not representing Galvanic Blast here. I believe we just swing with the 2 Goyfs, bounce off the champion, trade with the Ornithopter, play out another Goyf. We're going to leave Aberration back to block since we don't have lethal. We swing with everything. They block 2 Goyfs. They're at 3 life after that. We don't have Bolt in hand. Swinging with 2 Goyfs forces... Well, it doesn't force damage on them, but it deals with one of their dudes. They actually won't trade. Ornithopter not able to trade with Tarmogoyf here, which is nice. So we're going to take out a creature, and everything else just bouncing around. No colored mana available for the opponent, so we don't need to worry about Cranial Plating moving around at instant speed. Well, we didn't previously, now we do. So we're doing the turn again. Goyf probably not blocking anything, but it's another attacker, which is something I like. If they have Galvanic Blast, we denial it, which is good. If they have exactly 2 Galvanic Blast, 1 2 mana for that, they animate, they won't be able to equip the plating onto Nexus. I feel pretty good about our position here. Of course, when you go Blind Flip Delver on 1, followed by 3 Goyfs and some interaction, it's pretty easy to feel good. I like our spot. The opponent's thinking, here's a Signal Pest, not something we can interact with it. It's going to resolve. That has the ability to block Tarmogoyfs, can't block Aberration. It effectively has flying on the offense, but not on defense. Plating on the Etched Champion, they're going for the slow kill. Probably while animating Blinkmoth to block Aberration. They also might just wait here. We have a lot of Goyfs in play. Land off the top means we can haste out a Knuckleblade. That does put the Stubborn Denial shields down. Okay, so if we attack with everything, do we win? That's the question. We don't need Stubborn Denial, really, because they're going to animate Blinkmoth, invalidating a blocker just the same as Galvanic Blast would invalidate a blocker. They only have the 1 card in hand. That means they're only casting 1 spell. The only spell we need to worry about out of Affinity, game 1 at instant speed for 1 mana is Galvanic Blast. Dispatch, I believe, is... No, Dispatch is 1 mana as well. That's almost never in the main board, though. I believe that's just a sideboard card. Galvanic Blast is essentially Lightning Bolt for the deck. Makes a lot more sense to run that in the main. We're definitely playing this island. If we swing with 5 creatures, they can block 3 of them, and then they die. I think that's the road to victory. Any 2 creatures on this board is lethal. They animate Blinkmoth, or they Galvanic Blast something. Even if they dispatch something, they still only have the 1 mana source, so they can only deal with 3. Let's say they block all the Goyfs. Nux finishes them off. Oh, we can't Hasty Nux. We cannot Hasty Nux. That's interesting. We still need to win this turn, though. That means we can't win this turn. We can play Knuckleblade, but we can't give it haste because we drew the 2nd island. So what do? We swing with everything. They animate Nexus. They don't take lethal. Etched Champion going to survive. On their turn, they animate Inkmoth, and we lose. Signal Pest looks like a good enough of a top deck here to save the opponent. We hold back Aberration. That's the play. Do we play the Knuckleblade? We need Aberration to block Inkmoth. I think we attack with the 3 Tarmogoyfs because we need to get damage in. We're going to be able to block enough threats by playing Knuckleblade and still holding up Stubborn Denial. One of these Goyfs is going to bite the dust, getting blocked by Etched Champion. I'm glad I found the line. Not attacking with Aberration, I think, should have been more obvious than it was to me, but that's okay. We're going to lose 1 Goyf here. They're going to lose a couple creatures as well. Let's play down... Do we actually want to play Nux? It's possible we want double denial instead. Not super likely. What are the chances we need double denial over a blocker? The Etched Champion can't kill us. I think having the extra attacker is worth something. They know about the stubborn denial, so we're just going to keep on going with that. If they have 2 Galvanic Blast here, they can't animate Ink Moth. So we're still fine against 2 Galv Blast, which is good. We didn't push any damage through, but we dealt with 2 blockers that turn, so that's excellent. They know about 1 denial, they don't know about the second. Arcbound Ravager threatens to put a bunch of counters on the champion, but that's quite alright. Sacrificing artifacts means Cranial Plating's power boost gets lower. The opponent, not with any good attacks, they can't animate Nexus here. They're not holding up Galv Blast either. I'm not sure why they tapped the Nexus instead of the Glimmer Void. We don't have anything to do here, so we're gonna pass. Delver of Secrets can get in for sure, but if we don't kill them this turn, that's meaningless. I do believe we have lethal here if we swing with everything, but I'm not positive. I do want to play around things. Does Affinity ever play Dismember? We also need to keep an eye on our clock. Postboard game's going to take a little longer than this one. It's theoretically possible we could get blown out. I think I like swinging with just the 3 on the ground a lot better. We actually can grow Knuckle Blade, so that's good. They have to block that. They're going to deal with... But they can't... We can't lose, right? We can counter things as well. We can't lose. They can't animate Nexus. If they animate Nexus, they have to tap it. That means no blocking for Nexus. Neither of these have reach. They have exactly 1 card in hand, which we can counter pretty easily. This doesn't tap for mana. That's already tapped. I'm swinging with everything. They block 2 creatures, and then they take lethal. I don't want to second guess myself playing around things that I don't need to play around, and then ending up not attacking when I actually have lethal. The opponent scooped, so that's good. Glad we got to the attack. Glad we didn't attack with the Aberration when we couldn't kill them on that turn. Let's pull up our handy-dandy spreadsheet here and sideboard. 3 Mandrills going to come out. 1 Savage Knuckleblade. 1 Disrupting Shoal. I kind of like Shoal, I also kind of don't there. 1 Mana Leak, 1 Stubborn Denial. Let's get those out. And we're going to board in some better Disruption. Ancient Grudge. Mountain, although not Disruption. The EE. Destructive Revelry. Huntmasters to help stabilize. Pyroclasm is a house. And I believe both Ceremonious Rejection. I didn't board right, did I? That's a lot of cards. We didn't board out that many cards. Oh, I missed the 3 Thought Scours. That makes a lot more sense. 7 and 10 are not equal. Knowing slight amounts of math, very helpful for Magic, because these things come up where you need to know if 7 and 10 are the same number, and it turns out they're not. Hooting Mandrills, it is good in the matchup. We do like clocking them. At the same time, it just doesn't block anything relevant. Etched Champion gets right past it. All the flyers go over its head. Master of Ethereum can plow it over. Savage Knuckleblade, good in that game. I will concede that. It did work by being a creature, basically. I think we can do better. Once again, it basically has the same shortfalls as Mandrills. It doesn't block anything relevant. Nux is actually slower than Mandrills, which is at least somewhat relevant. And, I mean, it has pretty good attacks, but at the same time, they're not phenomenal. Shoal easily pitches to 1 in our deck, generally. Hard to cast Shoal for 2 for free reliably, and that's really what you want to do in this matchup. You want to counter things like Ravager, Cranial Plating, Overseer. You also will notice we cut a lot of blue cards for red and green cards that are very good here. 1 Mana Leak, 1 Stubborn Denial. They just give way to better disruptive elements. Ancient Grudge. Huntmaster, I guess not really disruption. Pyroclasm, rejection is a counter. And Thought Scour, we don't need as much for mandrills, and I would just rather spend my mana bolting, pyroclasming, than milling myself. Ancient Grudge, obviously. Mountain, help our life total out, hit those land drops. EE, new to the sideboard for this league. Well, actually, no. The previous league is when I put it in. EE, quite nice, I think, in this matchup. Can be a little slow, but you can also blow up a lot of good stuff. Blows up Etched Champion, which is very relevant. How good is this hand? We've got Tarfire. Denial ain't bad. Vapor Snag also pretty good. Bobble is a redraw. 3 lands is something nice. I'm going to keep. Other cards we brought in. Huntmaster, hopefully going to help us stabilize. Threaten to take over the game once we have. The basic mountain. Speak of the devil, he shall appear, yada yada yada. We're going to start on Flooded Strand here. Seems like a good idea. Hold up Stubborn Denial. Holding up Flooded Strand should help us at least a little bit. I like starting on it, as I've mentioned quite a few times. It's just nice that you get Flooded Strand out of the way. Steel Overseer, not something we can Stubborn Denial. We will Tarfire it on the end step, though. I like getting the fetch out of the way, the one that is the least good, I guess is how I would say it. Now, the opponent does play Blood Moon, so it's possible we want to grab a basic island here. Our mana is looking pretty good. We do want to just Tarfire, though, so I think we're going to go for the Steam Vents. Steam Vents is probably just much better. I should have played Bobble on turn 1. Not sure how I just totally missed that. I kind of want to look at our card. Serum Visions is pretty good. Think we might just play the Stomping Ground tapped. Do I want to draw Visions? I think I do. Play Stomping Ground tapped. Go to the opponent. We'll top deck Serum Visions, which is pretty good. Means we're not Snap Tarfiring next turn if we are casting the Visions. 3 mana, Etched Champion. Wouldn't mind an Engineered Explosive sometime soon. When we go to Game 3, I'll talk a little bit more about what I put in and why, although I don't think it's that, what's the word, complicated? Complicated's a good word for that. We top decked the Forest. That means we're playing Huntmaster on time. I believe I just want to get Visions out of my hand in that case. I also kind of want to have a blue spell up. It's not that important. I think I'd rather save the Shock. It's pretty unlikely that we have anything to play here. We might top deck Goyf. That's something. The one of Mandrill's also relevant. Oh, we could also just get the basic mountain. Means we don't have double blue. I think I'd rather have double blue. Triple blue. We can't get triple blue. We can get triple red or triple green. I think triple red is slightly better. We have a lot more red in our board. So I want to get the Steam Vents. The question is, do we pay Shock? I don't think so. Cast Visions. We may or may not get punished. We didn't. Delver. How good is Delver? I don't think we need the 4th land, so the island can go to the bottom. We're not playing Delver next turn. Actually, we might if we need to snap Tarfire, so Delver doesn't seem so bad. Let's go to the opponent. Would have been nice if we could have held up Ceremonious Rejection. Here's a Cranial Plating, and we are officially on a clock. That obviously goes on the champion. That's 8 power? 8 power, so we're dead in 2. With a Delver of Secrets on top of our deck, that just means we're dead. Oh, actually, we can bounce an artifact. I don't think we Shock there, playing around Ceremonious Rejection being on top specifically, but maybe we have enough things that we can draw that we should Shock. Delver of Secrets not what we need to do. I think it's actually going to be Snapcaster, Tarfire, plus Vapor Snag. We're not turning off Metalcraft here due to Opal and Citadel. We'd need to deal with Ornithopter, Ornithopter, Blink Moth being unable to turn itself on, and one of these two, and plating before we can actually go for the Etch Champion. So I believe we're going to just pass the turn here. Go for Snap Tarfire. Huntmaster here would do actual nothing due to protection from all colors. So that is very bad. We're definitely not slamming that. Being able to take them off of lethal is something I like. Okay, well if they equip it with that, we're just super duper dead. If they equip that to one of their other creatures, we might have a chance. So that goes on an Ornithopter. How big is this? Their other dudes have flying, so we're not blocking any of those. We're going to Tarfire one of these two, Vapor Snag the other one. This is going to go down to 8, and we're actually dead. I believe them having 2 extra artifacts means we cannot stop them. Maybe we should have gone for the denial on plating to make them tap out. They would have been unable to animate and equip, but I don't think that actually matters. We're at 8. We have to deal with the champion specifically. I kind of just don't want to show them any cards since we are dead. I'm just going to run through it again. Snap Tarfire. Take out Ornithopter. Vapor Snag this. They lose 2 artifacts. This has 8 power. We're at 8 life. Let's go to Game 3. Game 3 on the play should help. So EE we bring in. It's very versatile. Takes out Etch Champion. Can blow up an entire board. Deals with Cranial Plating and Ravager. Huntmaster definitely wasn't good there. Should be good overall, I think. Dismember's gonna stay because it's an out to their big dudes. Ravager can make things big. Master of Ethereum gets large. Ancient Grudge, obviously. Pyroclasm, they go wide with small dudes. Destructive Revelry, Ancient Grudge number 2, that is slightly less good but does damage. Ceremonious Rejection counters almost their entire deck for blue. Other cards we brought in. That's it. Cool. Spell Snare gets the nod over Disrupting Shoal because it counters 2 CMC spells, which are basically Affinity's best ones. We're going to be on the play again here. 3 lands, probably a keep. Lightning Bolt, Pyroclasm, very good. I like it. Ceremonious Rejection. So this hand is just waiting for a threat. This hand can deal with most of the opponent's stuff. The opponent deciding whether or not to mulligan. Very interactive. They did go to 6. We definitely want to get a blue source with this Misty. And you know what? Steam Vents feels perfectly fine. The only question in my mind is, do I want to bobble now? I feel like I don't. I think the life might be worth a little more. Let's bobble now. Pyroclasm, something I'm willing to draw a second copy of, I think. That also means we can afford to use the first Pyroclasm earlier in the game, which probably is going to be an asset. Here's an Ornithopter, followed by a Vault Scourge. I will happily just... Actually, do we Pyroclasm here? We might want to just get off a Lightning Bolt on the Vault Scourge. Hold up Ceremonious Rejection because this is our only blue source. If we tap out for Pyroclasm next turn, we don't have Rejection up. I think putting the Rejection shields down too soon is going to be our best way to lose. So I believe I'd rather give up this Lightning Bolt, even though it's the only instant speed interaction in our hand. We drew another Bauble, which is pretty good. I think I want to look at... I kind of want to use it now so we get our Disruption sooner. I want to look at our top card to see what we're going to draw. It's a Delver. That means we can afford to just play this tapped. We're going to draw Delver off the top. Signal Pest is fine. The opponent's stuck on 1 land. We don't have anything here. Means that if they do have cranial plating in hand... Actually, this is fantastic. I'm going to grab a basic island. We're also going to coincidentally play around Blood Moon just in case the opponent has it, while also getting basically everything we could possibly need. We're going to Pyroclasm here, wipe away the board while still holding up Ceremonious Rejection. Definitely something I like. I want Rejection up. Here's the second land. Is it a plating? It's a Ravager. That on its own is fine. We actually could Pyroclasm it profitably on this board, which is very interesting, although not particularly good. Huntmaster of the Fells, are we willing to tap out here? They didn't play Cranial Plating last turn. Using Huntmaster before Pyroclasm, a little awkward. On the other hand, we can usually get it to transform before we need to wipe away the board, especially in this kind of scenario, so I kind of like throwing it out there. I don't mind tapping out of Ceremonious Rejection in this spot, because the opponent didn't play Cranial Plating. If they did play Cranial Plating, I'd be a lot more interested. Well, no, in that case, we would have countered it, and that doesn't matter. I think the opponent plays Cranial Plating probably as soon as they can. Unless maybe they're looking at how we're playing and they're playing around counter spells, but I don't want to try to level myself up too much. Here's a Signal Pest. Now, it's a little unfortunate that we're playing Pyroclasm and not Kozilek's Return, but in this particular spot, it actually doesn't matter at all. The opponent took care of our Huntmaster with Galv Blast, which means I no longer care about Pyroclasming it away. The opponent deciding whether or not they want to swing with the Ravager looks like they don't. Here's a Mana Leak. So attacking with the Wolf here is free. The opponent can save something by sacking Citadel and either sacking Signal Pest to save Ravager or sacking Ravager to save Signal Pest. So what we're going to do here is swing with the Wolf. They're either going to take 2 points of damage, and cool, we got 2 points of damage in before using Pyroclasm, or we're going to take out this land and one of these two creatures, in addition to our Wolf, which got its 2 damage in, so that's not so bad. They're probably looking to save one of their 2 cards, I imagine. If they had decided to block the Wolf and go all in on Ravager, we would have just been able to punish them extremely hard. In this spot, you see they're not sacking anything. They just want to keep their lands in play, which is quite fair. The opponent with another not super great hand. This is a Ravager. Do I want to counter that? Ravager, honestly, on this board, not scary at all. I think I'd rather save the Rejection for something like an Etched Champion, which might get out of hand. Here's a Wooded Foothills. We'll save that for Delver Scry. Just put it in play. Not looking to trade Delver here or let it attack to its own demise. So we're just going to pass to the opponent. Mana Leak, extremely live in this spot, given how few lands the opponent has in play. Here's a Cranial Plating. Ceremonious Rejection is better to use now if we want to hold Mana Leak for countering Master of Ethereum. Using Mana Leak is better now if we're expecting to need a lot of mana in the coming turns. Don't think we need a lot of mana in the coming turns, so unless they hit a bunch of land drops, we don't need to save Rejection. So I believe I just want to use the Rejection now. Keep Mana Leak in case they top deck some sort of problematic creature. The opponent not sure if they want to cast whatever's left in their hand. Mana Leak also counters Galvanic Blast, but that's not a huge consideration. We're not going to fetch here because I want to be able to scry. Delver looks at a card. We have 6 minutes left on our clock. That's got to be counting sideboard time, right? Oh, Serum Visions is so good here. I kind of want to crack this in that case. Our life total is exceedingly high. It's entirely possible we want the mana sooner or later. I actually almost want to grab a blue source here tapped. Pretty unlikely we need the mana now. Although we might draw a Tarmogoyf, so maybe we just get the mountain. You know what? We don't need double green, so Breeding Pool's definitely out of the equation. If anything, I would go with a Steam Vents instead of the mountain. Which is it? Not a lot of time. Should probably make a decision. I'm going to get the mountain. Triple blue, not super important. Let's use visions. What do we got? Dismember, bolt on top, I like. Let's have the visions first. Swing with aberration. I believe we're not going to fire off the dismember until we have that lightning bolt in hand. Reason being, if we go for one of their creatures, they probably end up sacrificing some stuff to go all in with Ravager, and then we just get to blow them out with the second removal spell. Here is a dispatch which they actually can pay for leak. Notably, the removal spells in Affinity, you can't deal with them using Ceremonious Rejection either, so strictly better Path to Exile, not actually that scary in this spot. Let this happen. Yes, that's all fine. We're going to take 2 damage, draw Serum Visions, use it, draw Lightning Bolt, scry 2, Breeding Pool on the bottom, Serum Visions on top, and we are going to dismember the Arcbound Ravager. No, we bolt the Arcbound Ravager. If we bolt the Arcbound Ravager, they might just sack a few things. If we go for dismember, we force them to go all in on the Blink Moth. If we use the dismember first, because they know they won't be able to sacrifice enough stuff. If we bolt first, they might not sacrifice a bunch of lands. I think I like that. Go for the dismember. We don't have much time on the clock, so I'm going to try to play a little faster. Fewer than 5 minutes for us. The opponent with over 13. Alright, well they just gave up Ravager. That's fair. Not wanting to sacrifice a bunch of stuff. Second Blink Moth is annoying. I think we still just bolt a Blink Moth here. Gonna make Mana Leak better by taking out one of their lands. Don't think I'm gonna wait for something like a Steel Overseer here. Untap, draw Visions, use Visions. Draw Tarfire, these are both very good. Spell Snare on top, going to transform Delver, deal with a bunch of top decks, go to the opponent. Probably going to Tarfire the second Blink Moth. Here comes the animation. Another Blink Moth. Okay. Yep. That attacks. We shoot it down. Cast Delver. And we're just going to hold up Mana Leak on this turn. We can Mana Leak most of the scary things. Actually, I don't think we're that concerned with any 1 CMC spells here, so we can Mana Leak pretty much all the scary things. Ink Moth Nexus going to be very good here. Reveal Spell Snare. And we're going to attack. Our clock's faster. Put the onus on the opponent to deal with it. They didn't block, which I'm quite surprised at. I'm also trying to hit 1 as quickly as I can. That's really good. Can't counter that one. I'm trying to hit 1 as quickly as possible here to make sure we don't waste time. I'm not sure why they're going for the infect kill. I guess it's the same as the damage kill. Oh, that's why. It's faster than the damage kill. Okay, so now we need an answer to this. Foothills is not that. We actually probably just play this. I don't think the bluff is super relevant. And I do like that thinning the deck doesn't really cost us anything since they're going for infect damage. We might lose to this, and that makes me kind of very sad. On their end step, let's crack this. Shuffles our deck, so there is that. Another Wooded Foothills. I guess we're all in on that plan. We could really use a Snapcaster Mage, a Traverse, a Lightning Bolt. Something to deal with Blinkmoth. Preferably Traverse Snapcaster Mage, because it gives us a little extra value on the side. 2 more turns. I forgot to fetch. Visions. Okay, we're going to fetch first. Get the Steam Vents. I'm not going to shock here, because if we do deal with Inkmoth, our life total becomes extremely relevant. Vapor Snag's a temporary answer. Denial on the bottom. Gosh damn. So we're going to bounce Inkmoth soon. I think we're going to lose to Inkmoth Nexus Beats. Maybe we shouldn't have used all those bolts on the Blinkmoths. It seemed good at the time. I think Inkmoth is the only thing we would play around in that instance, though. Anything else, anything that isn't a land, we can counter pretty cleanly. Hopefully the opponent plays a land here. That way they can't replay the Nexus. That'd make me pretty happy. The opponent's only at 7 life. If we do survive this, we might be able to close the game. They're going to pump twice. Let the first pump happen. I kind of want to see the second pump first. No, they're waiting for us. Alright, let's bounce it. I think they played a land. I can't tell. Here's a Springleaf Drum. We could have Mana Leaked that. I guess that makes Mana Leak kind of bad. Okay, land off the top. Them having played a land means we have exactly 1 turn. I think fetching in that one spot was bad because of how many times we'd scryed. I think we used 3 visions by then. 3 mana, Etched Champion, that can't be Mana Leaked. Can be Rejectioned, so maybe you just use Mana Leak first and ignore Master of Ethereum. I wonder if Affinity boards out Master of Ethereum against us. Animating Blinkmoth, so now they're going for the damage kill, which we're also going to have extreme amounts of trouble stopping. I don't think running Bolt saves us. They only swung with the... Oh, Etched Champion has Summoning Sickness. I'm silly. They're going to pump that Inkmoth. Blinkmoth, sorry. Okay. So Snapcaster Mage, possibly good. Ceremonious Rejection, not going to do it. Looks like the opponent's going to take this one in what is probably the most disappointing Game 3 I've had against Affinity. They pieced this together nicely. Not sure bolting all the Blinkmoths was bad. Maybe we're supposed to just get the Mana Leak out of our hand, let the Blinkmoths rack up damage. Maybe we just needed to hit more threats. We did kind of run out of gas. I'd say we flooded out, but we are on turn what? Turn 17. And that doesn't count both players. We've each had turn 17 by this point. That's going to do it. So I think in 17 turns it's kind of reasonable to find this many lands, but I'm not positive. We did find a lot of non-lands. That's pretty good. Think I'm going to be looking at whether or not using those bolt effects earlier was good. I feel like it was, since we probably would have died to a lot of Blinkmoth Nexus beats. We bolted 2 of them, I believe, which over the course of however many turns until they hit Inkmoth, I think would have racked up a good 4 or 5 damage on us. So I kind of like using the bolt effects there. The fact that they hit Ink Moth and then had enough Blink Moths to make it big does kind of suck, but I guess that's just the way it goes sometimes. Thank you all for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in the next one.